A very good morning to you guys. Welcome to Asake Online. This is the Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton. Today we're in Ward 5. We want to profile and get to know Ward 5, which areas cover Ward 5, and get to know the councillor and different developments happening in Ward 5. Good morning to you guys. Welcome to the show. And my guest for this morning is Councillor Nkomo joining me. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Brighton.
Let's talk about Ward 5. Which areas cover Ward 5?
Yes, Ward 5 has 20 suburbs, beginning from Chabalala Extension, Stochiwe, part of Belmont, Palm Green, Newton West, West Somerton, Hillside, Montrose, right up to part of Benside. So it's a very huge ward, which has a component of high density, which is Chabalala Extension Chicken Corner, a component of industrial, which is Belmont, and a large component of low density. So it's a very, very huge ward in terms of the diversity of the suburbs that are there.
You've been in office for a few months, Mr. Nkomo. Let's talk about challenges faced by Ward 5 residents of Ward 5. What are the main key challenges faced by residents of Ward 5?
Ward 5 has got a number of challenges. Obviously, the issue of water is an issue that affects all the areas. But Ward 5 has got a lot of high-lying areas in Bellevue and Hillside. So at times, even when water is released, water doesn't actually get to residents. So the challenge of water is a huge, huge issue. Secondly, the issue of burst pipes. We're losing a lot of fresh water through burst pipes. Thirdly, our roads are in shambles. Most of these roads were last repaired over 50 years ago. So we've got a challenge with roads. Fourthly, we've got a huge problem with streetlights. We have a lot of streetlights, but roughly 2/3 of the streetlights are not working. So those are the key challenges that we face as a ward: infrastructural, service delivery issues, which I'm confident though that some of them we can actually address if we do work together with the community.
What some short-term measures? I know I've been following the full council meetings. They've been talking about short-term measures of building the Glassdock Dam, the Guaishangani Dam. What are some short-term measures that you guys have been doing here in Ward 5 in terms of keeping abantu amanzi?
In terms of what specific measures, the issue of water is a citywide problem, and the city council is seized with a number of short-term interventions. I'm sure you're aware that in terms of the Nyamanlovu aquifer, government has released money to enable us to maximize extraction of water from Nyamanlovu. So it's one of the short-term interventions that we're looking at. We're also looking at actually duplicating the pipeline from Chabezi to Nkomo, because Mchabezi Dam has got quite a bit of water, and we need to maximize our capacity to extract water from Chabezi. We need about $28 million for that. We're also exploring other avenues. There is the Madobo aquifer, which has got more water from studies that have been done than Nyamanlovu. So exploring a lot of short-term interventions, but we're hopeful that also in the medium term, we're looking at a build on operate transfer model for glass block dam in the medium term. We're also looking at how we can push government as well to finish Guaishangani. So we have short, medium term and long term plans that are in place. So most of these plans, we'll see them in place roughly in about a year or so. We'll not see them immediately, because when we came into office, those challenges were already in place. So we're very hopeful that we can address at least the short to medium term challenges that council faces with the help of government, with the help of ZINMA, with the help of the private sector.
If you're looking also into Ward 5, I know they are also part of the industry, Belmont areas. How are you working with business people in terms of helping to develop your ward?
Yes, there's a number of business people who are keenly and actively involved in the development of the ward. For example, in Newton West, we've had one hotel owner who's assisted in upgrading a road there. There's also a company as well that is assisting with the patching of Matopos Road. So we are also looking at how we can get the corporate sector to be more actively involved in terms of adopting certain streets, certain avenues, and maybe they can put up their signage there, helping with things such as maybe solar street lights and different things. So it's actually a great blessing that we're located here, and we're looking at engaging the corporate sector more. Obviously, we have to look at models of incentivizing the corporate sector to be more involved through corporate social responsibility. So as council, we have to be seen to be offering rebates, carrots, and incentives so that we can have private sector involvement in the development of the ward.
One of the key issues when it comes to council's jobs is to give feedback meetings, meet up with residents and so on. How are you meeting with these residents of Ward 5?
It's to be honest, it's been a huge challenge. We've had a number of feedback meetings. So because of the size of the ward, we've tried to bunch suburbs together. We've had a few meetings at Bellevue Recreational Club for Southworld, Newton West, and Bellevue. And we've also had meetings here at municipals as well. I think the challenge with my ward specifically is that we don't have a culture of attending public meetings. People are very engaged on social media, on the WhatsApp groups, but in terms of actual public meetings, they're not very popular in this ward. But we're trying to popularize them by having maybe house meetings, area-specific meetings, and getting people to meet in setups such as cleanups. For example, when you do a cleanup, you got a good attendance. So, and people are able to actually articulate their issues more than in a public meeting. So we're thinking of creative and different ways to organize and mobilize the community besides virtual meetings, which are a good method, especially in this day and
City of Bulawayo has been pushing for the cleanup campaigns. I know Minister of Agriculture has been pushing for that cleanup campaigns in Bulawayo. How has your ward been active in terms of cleaning up their ward in terms of Ward 5?
Yeah, I'm happy because most of the cleanups have been organized by the residents themselves. For example, in Hillcrest, in Morningside, and Four Winds, it's the residents that have been at the forefront of the cleanups. They are the ones that have organized themselves, organized their resources, and invited council to attend. But it's been the residents who've been at the forefront of actually doing the cleanups, because we have to change the mindset of citizenry in Bulawayo, so that we know that keeping Bulawayo clean is not just a responsibility of council. It's our collective responsibility as citizens. And I'm very happy that in these places that I have named, there's a lot of citizen agency, capacity, willingness to actually engage in cleanups and keep the places clean, keep the places neat.
Let's talk about township tourism now. I know this is a big ward. What's some of the great monuments we can pick out from Ward 5 that we can say this is a great monument that someone come to visit this ward can say, I can come and visit this place?
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, this place has got a lot of beautiful monuments and different recreational places. If you go to Waterworld, for example, it's one of the prime entertainment places in Bulawayo. I know somebody is also planning to put up a snake park there. Residents are a bit hesitant about that. But the ward goes up right up to near Matopos, which is very, very scenic, very, very beautiful. The ward has got the most number of hotels and lodges in the city. Upmarket lodges, upmarket, upmarket hotels. So these are places that tourists can actually go to, can visit. It's a very scenic ward in itself. As you know, we have Montrose. With Montrose Studios here, we have quite a number of places which are attractive to people coming from outside the country, especially in terms of the hotels and lodges, because we do have the highest number of lodges and hotels as compared to other places in the city. So most people that come to Bulawayo actually they find accommodation here, because we've got no less than 30 lodges, 30 upmarket lodges, and top class 3-4 star hotels as well.
I know it's been a few months since we got into office. How has been the journey like? Let's reflect on your journey since the elections announcement and being here as a councillor. How's been the journey like as a councillor for Ward 5?
Not easy, tough, hectic, toxic at times. It's not as easy as it looks, not as easy as it looked, because ideally there is the role of the councillor as prescribed in the Urban Councils Act, where we're supposed to be policymakers, facilitators of development, representatives of the people, but principally policymakers. So principally are supposed to be like board members, but practically and functionally, it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job in a way because people will call you up to 12 midnight if they've got a problem with water. They'll call you anytime. They'll knock at your gate at any time, and you have to be sensitive. You have to be attentive. You can't tell people that this is not my job. You can explain to them your role, but if somebody is desperate, you have to try and attend to them and refer them to the relevant authorities that can help. So it's very challenging in terms of balancing the different roles. At the end of the day, you find that you spend more time actually on the ground, or not supposed to be operational as councillors, than actually doing policy making as councillors, passing resolutions, formulating bylaws for the good of the city. So because of the state of the economy, the state of infrastructure and service delivery, I found it very challenging in terms of time. I have very little time for my own personal business, very little time for family, even during the weekend. But I enjoy it because it's part of my calling to serve the community and to help in ensuring that communities are uplifted. So it's tough, but I enjoy it.
Speaking of attending meetings, I know you spoke earlier to say that few people attend the meetings. As a councillor for this ward, how have you been trying to make them attend, have this culture of attending meetings and being part of this ward development?
I think the key thing is ensuring that all our suburb structures are functional. We have functional development and residence structures in all the suburbs. We have regularly elected, transparent, and active structures in all the suburbs. So we're slowly trying to build up to that. We've got very dedicated people at ward level and in most of the areas. So we're trying to rebuild that and trying to get the next generation of residents to get actively involved. Because you'd appreciate most of the wards, most of the residents are pensioners. But we have a large population of young people, most of whom have never worked because they're third generation. It's their parents who used to work who are well off. But most of these young people are living in poverty and they don't see any reason to participate in meetings. So we have to find different ways to incentivize them. Maybe public meetings might not work. We need to think of more creative events, recreational events. And then during those events, whether the artistic events, I know Bellevue, there's a young lady who's got a very creative arts hub there. So we need to do things differently. You can't do things in the same way and expect different results. So especially for young people, the challenge for me and indeed other councillors has been to do things differently, using arts, using sports. And actually one of the things that I've started doing is to partner an NGO to do a health expo every month, free health expo. So we offer free medical services, physiotherapy, BP tests, dental tests, optical tests, which are very expensive for most people. So these are spaces that people are actually interested in because you're offering something practical. Because the times they feel with meetings, it's just a waste of time. But if you're offering something practical which makes a difference, health is expensive. So if you offer free health services through this NGO, it's actually a carrot for active citizen engagement.
Speaking of these meetings, some of the key issues besides water, I know everyone's talking about the water crisis in Bulawayo, but besides this water, what are some of the key issues being raised by residents in these meetings, feedback meetings?
There's the issue of roads, which is very difficult because right now as council we don't have capacity to fix those roads. There's the issue of roads. There is the issue of public lighting. We've got a lot of street lighting here, but 90% of our lights don't actually work. Thirdly, we've got the issue of best sewers and best pipes. That's a huge issue we have. And lastly, the issue of refuse collection. I would say those are the four key issues that residents have raised as being very critical to them.
Again, the issue of bylaws, I know most of this area is industrial area. How they're surviving without water, issue of recycling as well. I know the culture of recycling is not yet in it. Are you talking to these residents in terms of industrial area, in terms of recycling, and also using a culture of reusing and reducing in terms of coming up with cleanup campaigns and blah?
Yes, I remember in the meeting that we had in Newton West with the residents, one of the residents offered to spearhead our green campaign. So they offered to assist in terms of education and awareness on, for example, segregating and separating waste. Your plastics, your paper, your steel, and so forth. And then how we can then link this up to our industries in terms of value addition, because waste is a raw material which can be monetized. So we're looking at how we can actually do that in partnership with private sector. We've also had some residents donating trees, over 200 trees, as part of our greening campaign, because globally the green cities concept is huge. It can attract funding, it can attract investment, it can attract a lot of interest in the city and in the area. So we're looking at how we can position this ward as a green ward, a ward where there's low carbon emissions, but at the same time where we're able to mine the waste and develop the waste into a product that can create and generate employment for our young people, and also contribute to the GDP of the city and the ward as well.
Let's talk about the Water Transition Fund. I know in a few months to come they're going to give a Water Transition Fund. What's the plans, bigger plans for the Ward 5 in terms of Water Transition Fund?
Obviously, I know in the past year the money was used for the development of Inkunzi Beer Garden, converting it to be some sort of like industrial hub. So that has been completed. So I'm hoping that we can use the money effectively, because we're talking about 20 suburbs. So whatever it is that we do, for example, if we say street lighting, I believe it's something that can benefit all the 20 areas. We can do a project, but the problem with the project is that projects require a lot of money, and that project will be in one suburb at the expense of the other 19. So I'm hoping that doable things such as maybe solar lighting can be a priority. But obviously, the Ward Development Committee has to sit down, have a meeting, agree. We send a proposal to council with the minutes, and we access that. Because actually, Ward 5 is one of the highest paying in terms of rates to the city of Bulawayo, because we have partly industrial areas, and also you find that pensioners are suffering, but they're actually very religious in terms of paying rates and so forth. So I'm hoping that we address the issue of public lighting, which is affecting the crime. Cable debts are very high in Morningside, in Newton West, in the whole ward, and largely because of the issue of poor lighting. So I'm hoping that we address the issue of revitalizing street lighting in the ward. Not even new infrastructure. The infrastructure is there, but let's revitalize it. Let's get the new street lights. Let's also solarize where possible as well.
Again, there's an issue of affecting young people across many wards in Bula, issue of alcohol and drug abuse. Is that affecting you as well?
Very intense. If you go to most of our shopping centers, most of our young people be high. Many of our young people be high on drugs, especially in Jengu. It's a huge problem in the ward, from Shabalala Extension, Chicken Corner, Newton West, West Summerton, Balm Green. Almost every shopping center I find young people. But we must find solutions. We must revitalize the youth centers, recreational centers. We must create jobs and opportunities for young people so that we keep them off the streets. We must generate recreational activities such as soccer, netball, basketball. The places are already there. Let's get private sector involved. Let's get donors involved, so that we can get our young people off drugs. And hopefully, I'm hoping that one day we will have a place to rehabilitate young people. There is no such place except in Ngujen. So Ward 5 has got the largest mental institution in the whole country, in Ngujen. 50 to 60% of the people there are young people because of drugs. So we need to find alternatives for young people, employment. We need to create recreational spaces, entertainment, have places which are wireless zones for them, where they can access, Wi-Fi and because they're virtual people, they're different, and we need to engage at that level.
Lastly, Mr. Nkomo, what can you say to the business people in your ward, to the pensioners, to the young people in your ward? What can you say to them? Speak to them in terms of being part of development and working with you in terms of developing this ward.
I'll start with the young people to say, young people, the future and the present of this word, in the future of this word rests with you. You have the energy, you have the ideas, you have the innovations. We need your ideas, we need your innovation, we need your tech savviness to progress as a word. We need to involve in the arts, in sports, and in decision making. We want to see more young people involved in the ward development committee. Pensioners have been very involved. We are trying to find ways in which you can cushion also pensioners as well through various rebates. We need to find safe spaces for our pensioners. It's no longer safe for them to walk around. Poor street lighting, poor roads. We also need to find spaces for our pensioners. For the business community, let's partner, let's work together. We want to work with you in developing the ward. We have thoughts and ideas how we can partner in terms of business people adopting streets and avenues, and you can use that for branding purposes. You can beautify a square, a street. You can contribute towards solarizing the ward as well. So we are partners in this. The councillor cannot do it alone. We can only do it together as young people, as pensioners, as business people, as different stakeholders.
Councillor Nkomo, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Right, we've been watching the Breakfast Club. Today we're coming from Ward 5 under Councillor Nkomo. They're talking to us about challenges faced by Ward 5 and the purposes that it's planning to do for Ward 5. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Please do pass your comments to us via the comment section there, and to like our Facebook page, YouTube, TikTok, as well as Instagram. Now we're joined by Ubaba Sakala, the head of the community sweeping group right in Ward 5. Baba, good morning.
Livuka njani?
Siyavuka baba. Sicela kabanzi umsebenzi wenzayo Ward 5.
Okay, thina njengo group leader kwa Ward 5 si-employa ngu-councillor wethu ukuthi sisebenza si-cleaner i-community in Ward 5. Siku-Ward 5 laphana sisebenza singu-15. Kodwa silama-challenges ekucleaneni kwethu lapha ku-Ward 5. Other thing, okokuqala ngikhulumela ukuthi singaqasha ngu-councillor wethu sesihambisa kubani ku-Bulawayo City Council. So konke siyabe sesikhala ku-Bulawayo City Council, izikhalazo zethu sesihambisa ngabe isikhala ngemali, ikhala ngokusebenza kwethu, so konke sihambisa ku-Bulawayo City Council. Kodwa ama-challenges esila nge-community hardship lesiyifesayo, imali esiyitholayo ayisenelisi ukuthi sikwanise ukubhadala lapho esihlala khona, ukuhambisa abantwana esikolo ngoba i-RTGS le, ngoba sihole i-RTGS. Asila US, sesizamile ukukhulumisana labo ukuthi abaphethe isikhwama zethu, kodwa hayi lokho esilakathi silokho sihamba sikhuluma labo. Njalo futhi contract yethu ngama 3 months. 3 months le RTGS le uyathi usuyihola kwesikhathi iyabe ingasasebenzi. At the end of the day maybe ugcine usuyihola imali yana iyabe siyi-$10 kumbe $20. Meaning ukuthi ubhadala i-rate ngaba ku-Ward 5 ama-rate esikhalela per room sikhalela between $70 le $100. Ucabanga ukuthi maybe you are a family of 6, vele automatically vele akulalutho olukhona khona lapha.
Wakhangela i-sweeping ikhava amawadi Nkomo uthi amawadi angu-20, more than 20 wards. Kandikhangela amawadi wonke kandikhangela i-sweeping.
Okwakathesi nxa sikhumela nxa sithi ama-wards uBulawayo yonke ama-wards ayi-29. Ku-29 wards, each ward ilo-councillor wayo. Mina kahle kahle ngikhangelele u-Ward 5, kodwa ngiphinde ngirepresente ama-ward wonke nxa siyakhuluma ngendaba zezimali. Ngirepresente ama-ward wonke angu-29. Yikho ngiyabe ngikumele. Njalo awuke ama-wards silesikhathi esihlangana khona every month sisiya-submit ama-claim form. Siqalisa umsebenzi ngo-7 ekuseni, sichayise ngo-4. njalo i-protective clothing siyasidingela, amasaka siyasidingela, vele konke esikusebenzisa siyasidingela. Engike ngakukhuluma before ukuthi likucabanga ukuthi ngemali esiyitholayo le sigcina singenelisi ukuthi sithenge lokho esimele sikusebenzise emsebenzini wethu, ngoba futhi kumele udle futhi apha emsebenzini. So ngama-challenge asifisayo, but sisikhangela futhi lo hlupho lwethu leZimbabwe lolu, izibi zethu azithathwa ngesikhathi, sile-challenge ezimota ukuthi izibi sithathe ngesikhathi, sigcina sibuyela back futhi lapho esisebenze khona. Namhla usebenzile izibi lezicithiswe akula mota, unlike 2000 and I'm not sure, but 2011-14 kwakungcono plus kwakule US dollar, sasikwanisa ukuthi le mota zazikhona uzasithwala izibi now and then. Manje kade sizokwanisa umelela maybe Saturday ibizothwala, but zingathwala kwesinye isikhathi kumbe zihambe kwenye task. So vele kule challenge enkulu khona lapho.
Phela ama-parks again, I know lisenza ama-parks futhi. Uma-parks asenza uwo yiwaphi ama-parks asenza kuwo?
Ama-parks siyabe i-parks lapha nxa sikhalele sikhangele ku-Ward 5 futhi sembela ku-Ward 5. I-parks sikhangelele indawo zethu lezi ezikhulutshwa ama-main roads, kulobo Burnside Road, kulobo Plumtree Road, kulobo Dandi, kule ndawo zama-shopping centers, indawo lezi ukuthi kwesinye isikhathi kumele zisileshi utshani indawo lezi ngoba kwesinye isikhathi kulobusele okwenzakalayo, so kumele sizame ukuthi sisileshe indawo zonezi. But vele basically thina iward yethu ikhangele iward 5, labo kulabanye ama-groups futhi khona ngale kwamanye ama-wards abakhangelela indawo le. So ku-parks kutholakala abantu abayi-10 for i-parks ukuthi besileshe iward 5. Then normally kujayele kwenzakala once a year, especially isikhathi se-rainy season, yiko kwenzakala khona ukuthi kusileshe utshwala. But imali zakhona zasiba ngcono, ngingazi kwakhathesi ngoba kwakhathesi i-RTGS bayivalile last, baqede khathesi iviki ephelileyo, singazi ukuthi bazathola malini ngokusebenza kwabo, kodwa hayi babanikele US dollars kufana le-roads okufanayo. I-roads khathesi ibilabantu abayi-20, i-roads inika abantu abayi-20, ama-trenches inika abantu abayi-20. Laba I think iphelile i-contract yabo, labo baphiwe i-laws in-Nostro, kuya ngokuthi basebenza njani. Lakho kwenzakala once a year.
Ama-groups asikhuluma ngawo, labantu abatsha, labantu omama, lo baba, sikhuluma age yangikhona abantu abaqhatshiwe ama-groupini abakilinayo.
Abakilinayo sidinga from normally community sweeping groups, it was made for the elderly. So kwesikhathi i-elderly laba abazukulu babo njengoba imisebenzi current situation akula msebenzi, so la ugogo kasakwanisa ukuya emsebenzini, ubukhulu kasayikwanisa emsebenzini, umzukulu uzihlalele lapha, ngumntwana uzihlalele, sethatha umzukulu lapha amfake lapha ukuthi ekwanisa la njani ebamba ngoba kula msebenzi, athole nale ukuthi aphathise ugogo kuma-communications. Kodwa siyahlanganisa, akula ukuthi ungumama, akula ukuthi ungubaba, wonke umuntu uvunyelwe ukuthi angene kuma-sweeping group, especially ama-pensioners siwakhangelele. But ngokuthi maybe umkhuhlane umuntu omdala ngasuzakwanisa sibe ukuthi aqhaze from 7 asiyachaya u4 uyabengakwanisi, sesithatha umzukulu sesimfaka phakathi, kumbe umntwana sesimfaka phansi, ozizwa ngani usakuqinile asebenze. Uzigogo nxa ekwanisa ukuthi aphushe, uyangena la asebenze.
Okugcina i-counselling inganceda njani ukuthi umsebenzi obenze ube lula?
I-counselling yona ngokwayo, I think endabeni yemali kakhulu ike sikukhangelele kakhulu endabeni yemali ukuthi ingasincedisa ngaphi, ngoba imali esiyitholayo ingale, ngoba so far sasipropose ukuthi at least kube yi-200 US dollars per person, ngoba imali yakhona ibuya ku-group account then sesiyi-distribute. So like eyaqasa ko-2011 khona, if I'm not mistaken, kwakuyi-200, at least 200 siyakwanisa ukuthi sithenga ama-bags ethu, sikwanisa ukuthi sithenga lathi sibhadala ama-rent, at least kuyabe kuhamba. Emalini khonapho yiko kulo hlupho lesi-challenge khona. Of course lathi siyakwanisa ukuzithengela i-protective clothing, even amasaka ku-200 tona le. So at least masinika i-Nostro kakhulu ike sikukhalela khona, plus ngikhalela ukuthi at least le contract yakhona, ama-contract akhona at least 1 year contract, sibe sayina ama-1 year contract, sibhethe ukuthi umuntu uyakwanisa ngoba 3 months contract wabo ngakayenzi lutho, so at least 1 year contract kungcono sibili, yikho sikukhalela khona.